Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. So glad you're here. The lighting looks a little grainy and weird. It's because it's the evening. We're doing a live show at night. It is 8:34 p.m. here in Orlando, Florida. And this is something I've been trying to do for the last 3 days. I just can't get around to it because I have some other fun things I'm working on and I just wanted to do this. So I was planning to do it in the weekend, but I'm doing it tonight, and I just missed hanging out with you guys live. If you're watching the replay, don't forget to enable those notifications so you get notified, assuming YouTube does what it's supposed to, when we go live. The format for this show, our live programs, is a lot less structured than our regular videos. It's literally just to hang out, shoot the breeze, answer any questions, talk about what you want to talk about. I always like to offer kind of behind the scenes info to provide some extra content for people that care, because a lot less people are able to join these. No matter what time I pick, it's going to be inconvenient for someone. We've got, thankfully, such an amazing audience. We're spread out globally now, so there's never a really good time for everybody. So I would be surprised if we get any of our friends from the UK on at this hour, but it's happened before. So if you're suffering from insomnia, I probably would be a good choice to help you overcome that. So anyway, just happy to have you in here. Old Radios, you made it, man. I'm so glad you're here. Mark, my friend, I haven't seen you in forever. Welcome in. I'm doing wonderful. I'm very blessed, very thankful. God is good. And yeah, I'm excited to share kind of what I'm looking for record-wise lately, what I picked up recently. That's another thing, too, is I like to kind of review my latest finds. Absolutely. Caught you on your day off, George. Awesome. I think you'll like tonight's show, George. I think this will be a good one. You and I are kind of cut from the same piece of cloth when it comes to music taste sometimes. So this might be entertaining to you. Old Radio says, I bought another film camera last month. Finally found out it works. That's good. Speaking of finding out things work or not, the Philco, my 46 Philco. Oh, man, I really want to get it working. I sold my Vita Nola when I left Denver, when we moved down here. And that was sort of a center point, kind of like I don't know what you would call it. I don't think I listened to it every day, but it was a center point in the house. It was beautiful furniture in addition to just, being a functional historic phonograph. So I'm kind of hoping that the Philco fills that void. It's much more compact, and the ability to have it fully functional is appealing to me. And I don't know if you guys have seen the videos I've posted too now in my series restoring that and the RCA changer I picked up a few weekends ago. Initially, I was like, well, I'm just going to hope it works. And then I got home and realized it was far from working. It was untested. Untested can mean works fine, I just don't know how to use it, all the way to it's a pile of junk and it doesn't work. This was somewhere in between. It was complete pretty much, except for the power cord. But as soon as I saw that, I'm like, this one hasn't been restored. And it was from a collector that restored these things. He apparently hadn't gotten to this. I'm hoping the tubes are good. Good news is the person I did buy it from still has like hundreds, if not thousands of tubes. So I'm hoping I can at least identify. Well, actually, I already know which tubes it has. But if it needs tubes, I hope to be able to get those from that same person before they sell those. Anyhow, yeah, that's my goal, is to really kind of finish that up and make it something that is kind of a beautiful thing to have in the house as well as functional. And once I found out that, I was in over my head, and as much as I'd be like, yeah, I restored that, I'm not good at that. I don't fix things. I mean, my level of technical expertise when it comes to electronics is very, you know how Techmoan does some stuff, but he doesn't like do full deep dive tech, replacements of parts and stuff. He'll go in there and put belts in and stuff like that. I'm sort of like that, probably even a little less technically minded than he is. I'd say he's pretty dang technically minded, because he's able to, do those things. A lot of, just consumers can't. But at the same time, I'm not even to that level. Like, I can do belts. I've definitely soldered plenty in my life. My dad had an electrician's background. But at the same time, it's not my expertise. I spent my, career to this point learning other things. So I don't want to get in there and either damage the product or, more importantly, damage myself. So I just gotta be able to admit this is not my gifting, and find a way to get it fixed. So I will enlist the help of others. I've reached out to a friend or two. I've gotten some leads on people that restore these things. I'm either going to have them do. There's three levels of work that need to be done on it. Number one is the recap and tubes. Number two is the mechanical stuff with the turntable itself. And number three is the finish, the paint and the polish and all that stuff. I can do number three. It's number one that I can't, number two that I might be able to, and I can do number three. So I'm trying to kind of, see what kind of an investment. Usually these things go for $250-ish, even as a parts unit. And the fact that I picked it up for 20 is frankly pretty amazing deal. So I just want it to work. So bought another film camera last month. Finally found, oh, that's the one I already read. Windy 707. It's kind of hot. It has been very hot lately, like very, very hot. Got a stack of records I'm planning to hear. That sounds good. What are we listening to? Act 8113. My friend, I haven't seen you in a while. By the way, what happened to the previous stream? So some of the streams get posted and some don't. And sometimes we make that decision after the live. And we want to make, we want to incentivize people to be on the live. And we do post, I'd say 40 to 50% of our lives get posted. So I want there to be some incentive for people to try and make a live versus watching the replay. So if they can't watch the replay, then there's more incentive to do it. And I understand that it's not going to work out for a lot of people time-wise. But for those that are, you guys that are here, I'm just thankful that we're here, just hanging out. It's not a formal show, the lives. We're just hanging out. I don't even know if any of our videos are formal. I broke the leg to my Victrola 111 while I was moving to a new place. Oh, that sucks. What made you decide to make a move and leave Denver and move to Florida? Mark, it's a great question. So it's something that my wife and I had been planning for years. It had been in the plan for a long time. Our two kids kind of getting established and moving out and doing their own thing and feeling comfortable was sort of the threshold that we needed to get through. So once they got through high school, college, and they were moved out and, doing what they do, we kind of had the ability to make our move at that point. So it's something we've wanted to do. And we were both Denver natives. So why would we choose Florida over Denver? This is our personal opinion. And I think it's kind of a grass is greener kind of a thing. But, we were just very bored of Colorado. You make people that aren't from Colorado like, oh, how can you say that? You must go to the mountains every weekend. And that's kind of what we say about people at the beach. We're like, wow, the ocean, you must go there every weekend. And just like people that are near a beach, it's kind of like, not really. I haven't been there and I don't even know how long. But the mountains, my whole life was going to the mountains. I've been to the mountains so many times that we were just bored of it. We've done so much. And then what else is there to do in Denver? Everything's so seasonal because of the weather. The theme park, Elitch's and Lakeside to a lesser extent, they're open for a couple of months during the summer, but it's not like a year-round thing. And once you've gone a couple times, it's not like Disney World. It's a lot more simplistic. And then all the other events that are, limited, the stuff that would come through town was sort of the entertainment to keep us going. Activities, hiking, biking, fishing, hunting, skiing. And once you've, we're not hunters at all, but once you've skied, and unless you're a skier, just loves doing it. I did it a lot when I was a teenager, and my wife did as well. But when it comes to, now, we just kind of like, we did it. We don't have a desire to do it. Hiking and biking, that was like every single day. And like, why don't we hike and bike and do things in an interesting place? One of the impetus was our passion for wildlife and nature. And there's so much of it down here. So much wildlife, 4-foot birds walking around, gators, and yes, there are gators. It's not just the thing you see on, on TikTok or whatever. I can drive. There's every body of water and every corner, within a mile of my house, there are at least probably 5 to 10 distinct bodies of water that all have gators. Anything has, water has a gator in it, literally. And I thought that was a joke at first. It's not. It's fun. It's just different. You know what I mean? And we do like Disney, so we go to the theme parks. We like the activities here. It's also fun being in a state that has multiple big cities. So we can go to Miami and have a completely different vibe than you get in, Jacksonville, or if you go to Davenport, not Davenport, what's the Daytona Beach versus Tampa versus Orlando, etc. They're all just very, very different. So there's a lot. And then you got to go all the way up into Pensacola and whatnot. It's just fun. You know what I mean? It's fun. We started visiting here years ago, so we've made a lot of trips down here. We didn't make a blind move, but yeah, that's kind of the idea. So old radios, you mean yours, the tubes light up, or you're asking me if the tubes light up in my Philco? I don't know. I haven't put power to it because the power cord's missing. I did buy a new power cord. I just haven't put it in yet. George says, I'm still working on the demo, but have an online station. That's so cool, dude. What a fun project. I've toyed with that idea. I've said, would that be fun? I've tried a lot of different things. I've tried podcasting. I've tried, it's fun. Hacked 8113, Carly Simon. Yes, I thought I said something to you already about that. If not, I apologize. Yes, thank you, and thank you for the message. That was very, very kind. Yes, absolutely. It is in the collection safely. I really appreciate it. Very kind gift. I'm so excited to get viewer mail. I love viewer mail. It's the most exciting thing because I have no idea the idea of somebody, finding something they think I would like and sending it, super fun. So thank you, my friend. I really appreciate it. Old Radio has bought a Catalan Sentinel radio for $40. Wow, that's cool. In terms of the previous stream I was watching, was deleted 3 days later. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sometimes that does happen. Yeah, if you get one of those Bing Crosby Philcos, they are in good condition. Philco, Bing Crosby are sort of synonymous. Obviously he did the Philco radio show. He's sort of known as, that's why a couple different Philco models are known as the Bing Crosby units. So, and I'm into collecting Bing Crosby lately, so it made sense. That's what kind of drew me to it. Did I say it was Monday? Steven, did I say it was Monday? If I did, I always do this when it's a 3-day weekend and it's actually Tuesday. Did I say Monday live? Did I call this a Monday live? Oh my gosh, that's embarrassing. See how bad off I am? I'm going to be screwed up all week. It's Tuesday. It is Tuesday. Oh, yeah. I was back at work today. It was my Monday. And it didn't help that the people I work with joking around saying it was Monday. Matthew says, I lived in Florida for 3 years. The wildlife is fantastic. It was too humid. And dude, the humidity. I've decided the way to get the what they called back in Denver, the real feel temperature, which back there was down here. It's the humidity is, kind of the indicator for the real feel of what it feels like. Back in Colorado, they had different ways of kind of calculating that. It was a wind chill mostly. Anyhow, here right now it's 85% humidity at this moment, 8:48 p.m., 80 degrees. So maybe saying, 80 degrees isn't too bad actually. But when you have 85% humidity, add those numbers together and you get a ridiculous joke of what it feels like. But it does feel super hot. 70 degrees with 80% humidity can feel incredibly hot. Sorry you missed it, my friend. Yes, I did get the record, and I'm very appreciative. Thank you so much. Oh, I got you. Yeah. The description works means tubes. Right. What does that mean? Yeah, exactly. It must work. There's a loud hum. I got you. Yeah, exactly right. Missed my chances on getting a Bing Crosby Philco before. Yeah, I'd known about it for a while, but I hadn't. Never thought I would get one either because they were like hundreds. So I saw one listed for 20, and I was like, okay. So it was. I went for it. Does say Monday, George. I'm gonna change it afterwards. I can't believe I did that. How embarrassing. It's Tuesday. It's actually Tuesday. So people probably think it's like a replay or something. Brian Reynolds, welcome in, my friend. Do you have all of Patsy Cline's albums? I do. So a couple of years ago, I embarked on my Patsy Cline record collecting kick. And I collected all of her studio albums that were released and a bunch of others. I have a good crate full, maybe not a full crate full of Patsy Cline albums. No, I would say I probably have a good half a crate full, but there weren't that many. There's a lot of compilation things and whatnot. And I've got a bunch of like novelty things and re-releases, but the core albums, there was only 3 released during her lifetime, starting with the 1957 self-titled debut album that's up there framed on the wall. I've also got her first single over here on Coral Records. And, I've got some other stuff. I got, a handful of 45s. I've got a couple 8 tracks. I've got a ton of Patsy Cline CDs, a ton of them. Some very, very cool stuff. Some stuff that's not available on vinyl anywhere. People always say, oh, records, records have material that was never released to CD. And I always say that's true. But, conversely, there's a lot of CD only material out there, especially restored radio broadcasts and transcription work, not data. Yeah, so it's fun. Got a couple other little novelty things. I've got a little trading card with a patch of her clothing. It's like a one-of-one collectible. They're not super valuable. You can get them on eBay. But yeah, it's been super fun collecting that stuff, and read a couple of books and things. Yeah, so been able to collect that. Still collect Patsy Cline. There's still certain Grail records of hers that I would really like to find. I do have the first album with the first variant, the 57 original. In fact, I'm going to tilt my camera. I've done this before, but since you asked, see how that's the silver and black label? That's the first issue, and that record is more common in the reissue from 1960 that had the Deco Rainbow label. So finding the original, and that is a 12-inch styrene record, is super fun. And then if I tilt the camera this way, up there in the corner, you'll see that 7-inch record. That's a Coral 7-inch. So for Grail Records, this webcam doesn't behave now. For Grail Records on the Patsy Cline side of the house, I would like to find like a 10-inch 78, preferably a Coral. Those were the only first 3 or 4 of her songs on Coral before she was bumped up to the full Decca label. Coral was sort of the value budget label of Decca's. So yeah. Matthew Brannigan says, I enjoy watching Paul Carlson's videos on repairing old radios. He's incredibly skilled. However, I've noticed he steers clear of mechanics. So no record players or tape decks. It's interesting. One of the people I contacted to get a quote on repairing the Philco said the same thing. He's like, I'll do the radio portion, but I don't do the record player. And I would think that if you have the wherewithal to do the radio part, that the other stuff would be easy. Because they're almost entirely electromechanical. Radio, TV, phono nut. It's interesting. When I first started reviewing turntables and I wasn't hating on Crosley like everybody else on YouTube, people were like, oh, radio, TV, phono nut's not going to be happy with this. Some people still can't wrap their brain around why on God's green earth would I, say anything positive about cheapo imported record players. And I always say, well, that's the whole point of the channel. We were designed to be an entry-level friendly channel for people that couldn't afford or weren't interested in anything fancier. A little suitcase player, it's fine. And we dispelled myths. Oh, they're going to damage your records and all this stuff. We dispelled that. It was fun doing that. I've sort of backed off in recent years on the confrontational side of that because you're not going to change anybody's mind. You can show facts, you can show whatever. People just aren't going to change their mind on a lot of stuff. So I feel that it was sort of wasted effort to go down that route too much. It's just express my perspective. And you know what? I'm not saying even that my perspective is the right perspective. I've been wrong many, many times on this channel. I've made many mistakes. I've stated things that I believe to be true that I found out weren't true. And then as soon as I found that out, I, revise my understanding and I communicate to you guys what I found out. So I just, and I'm not an expert. I'm just an enthusiast. I'm just having fun here. But yeah, he's commented on a few of our videos. Nice guy. Interesting channel. I like the vibe of the channel with the 4:3 standard definition video. I like it. Although I can't say anything about video tonight with this webcam, probably at 20 frames a second. It's because I've got I'm just in the office with a dome light. There's no daylight left. Mend It Mark in the UK is great for, yeah, I love his channel. That's a great channel. That's really fun to watch. Frugo Audiophile, what do you use for record crates? Are you lucky enough to have some milk crates around? So I don't have any milk crates. I had, at some point, plastic crates, but primarily I use Crosley wooden crates, and they're perfect. They make like these, I think these are probably 9-inch tall ones that allow you to, the record protrudes that much from the top. I'm actually going to be reviewing some more record crates from them in the near future. There's a sneak peek. And they make 12-inch ones, so they're stackable crates. So I'll be reviewing those in the near future. I like crates versus shelving because I like to crate it. I've got my whole, not my whole, I wish it was my whole, but this part of the record collection over here is set up like a record shop. Like I mentioned in previous lives recently, the collection is creeped out of the space that I have. So I've got records leaning up here, leaning up there, and it's time for more crates. So going to do it. The only one that I don't like, and I reviewed it, and I said so. It wasn't. I don't think it was even good when I reviewed it, but it certainly hasn't lasted, and I don't think they make it anymore because they must have got the same feedback because they made this. No tools needed. Usually they're all screwed in. There's wood and heart, and then there's metal screws, obviously, and they're very rigid, very tight, very well constructed. But they made this one that you could put together with no tools, and I'm sure they're thinking of the millennial. No offense. I don't want to go down this road because I'm going to offend somebody. I don't want to do that. They're thinking of a beginner that doesn't, maybe, doesn't have tools and stuff. I'm gonna get it for that. I'm sorry. I didn't mean anything. I have loved ones very close to me, people, my children. I don't, have any, animosity against any generation. They know more than I'll ever know. But anyway, no tools needed crate, absolute garbage. The thing just falls. It'll sit there, it'll be sitting there. I'm looking at it because it's over there on the floor. And it'll just, it's terrible. It's like a series of these like latching wood pieces, and it's just too loose, and it's no good. No good. Sita Sintata, welcome in. Whittier Tennyson, welcome in. Was there a duet album between Patsy Cline and Loretta Lynn officially released? I think I remember mention of either a duet album or a tribute album. So they've done a lot. They did a few things where they put them together. Because obviously Loretta Lynn was a friend. Patsy Cline, Patsy Cline actually kind of mentored Loretta Lynn. The story of, and I've read Loretta Lynn's book, Kicking Up Dust, My Friendship with Patsy Cline. It's amazing. Like it's a very candid account. But yeah, it was like giving her clothes and advice and really getting her started. And they were really, really good friends. So there were albums released and still are, from time to time, combining their songs, but I don't think they were ever officially collaborated. Certainly not during, Patsy Cline's lifetime. Now, Loretta Lynn did a tribute album in the 70s where she sung an album's worth of Patsy Cline material. Incidentally, I picked up Loretta Lynn's debut album. I just wanted to, Loretta Lynn records. There's so many albums. She's done like 25, 28 albums. It's like Dolly Parton. It's like, I almost said too much to collect, but there's so many that it's overwhelming. Versus Patsy Cline, there's like 6 or 7 official albums, and then the rest is, fluff. There's only 3 released during her lifetime. But Loretta Lynn, there's so much. So I just wanted to get 1 or 2 of her older albums. And I ended up getting a few weekends ago, and I put it on a show. I showed you guys. It was on a live, I think. Loretta Lynn Sings, which ended up being her debut album. And I've seen it go for a lot of money. It also sells for hardly any money, so I don't know if it's really worth anything. But somebody told me on here it's pretty rare. I picked it up for $8. It's in playable condition. It's like a VG condition record. But yeah. And they did release a CD of Patsy Cline duets, one of those things where they go in after the fact and add in contemporary singers and take out a verse of Patsy Cline and add in a verse of, whoever, all these modern singers. They did that back in the early 80s too. Rabbit hole. I'm going to try not to go down that rabbit hole right now. Liz, welcome in. Yeah, I'm so glad you can make a live chat. I want to do more. I always want to do more of these. Old radio's not offended. Does that include you, my friend? Good. I'm glad you're not offended. Matthew says, do you still have a working 8-track? Yes, I do. And actually, these right down here are 8-track tapes. It's right here. It's in this opening right here. It's my cheapo sound design, very 70s wood grain with a metal front panel, stereo 8-track player. It doesn't even have line outputs. I'm running the audio out of a headphone jack with an adapter and a volume set to about 30% to approximate line level on this, because it's the kind that had speakers. It would connect directly to speakers, and it doesn't have a line output. It's got speaker terminals on the back. It's got a built-in amplifier. Very basic, doesn't record. A friend of mine gave me a Panasonic a couple of years ago, and it ended up not working. So I still use this. It works fine. And he also makes custom mixtapes. In fact, this is his most recent one. I think he sent me this fairly recently. So he'll take a shell that's in good condition and make a new label for it. And sometimes he'll pack it with fresh tape. It's got a fresh splice on there, and then he'll create a mixtape. It's really, really fun. He even did a Patsy Cline one for me. This one's super cool. So him and I sort of collaborated on this together. It's an album that never existed. So it's got the Decca stereo tape logo up there. It's mostly radio remotes and things. Even got the Record-ology logo on there. Pictures on it, matching, color-matched shell. And it's recorded well. It's a good quality recording. But yeah, and I had quite a few 8-tracks before we moved, and I pared that down. Same thing with my 78s. I got rid of about 40% of them and only kept the ones I really, really like. So just randomly showing you some of my 8-tracks here. And a lot of these are gifts from you guys, so I appreciate those well. We got Beach Boys, Surfer Girl up here. 8-tracks is a format I don't have any, like, always got the Red album here. I had one of these, and then somebody sent me the matching for the other one, so I got both of the Red album ones. I don't have any personal emotional connection to 8-track before I got into it, but everybody on the channel was like, dude, you got to get into 8-track. It's cheap, it's fun, it's interesting, and it is fun. It is really, really cool. But, I used to think of it as probably the least cool format, to me. And it is kind of clunky still. It is amazing, though, in a hi-fi setup properly with decent quality tapes, they can sound pretty good. And a lot of people have memories of them just being cheapo car players and, tapes that got melted in the sun and the splices and the fade outs and things. That's an 8-track title right there. There's certain things like country music, Elvis, that just belongs on an 8-track. Henry Mancini. This is super cool. Check this out. One of you guys sent me this. Merry Christmas, Bing Crosby, 8-track. Isn't that the coolest thing? I have this album on pretty much every format. I've got the cassette, the CD, multiple. I got it on 78 in a couple different ways. I've got it on 10-inch vinyl, 12-inch vinyl, and a couple different releases. This is a pretty clean one. Notice how clean the label is there. But if I go over to, well, this one, that shows it a little bit. See the edges, how it's bubbling up? The labels on 8-tracks were famous for bubbling up. It's probably the ones that were left in the sunlight, where the glue does that. So to find one where the glue didn't bubble up and the label's still laying flat, it's fairly rare. Speaking of Loretta Lynn, check that out. Greatest Hits album. That's super, super cool. Awesome. By the way, when it comes to 8-tracks, replacing, you can, they always say, well, don't even play it until you replace the foil thing. I think that's a little bit overstated. I've got some with original foil things that, that work fine. Also, you can usually replace it without having to take the tape apart. I would encourage you not to take the tape apart unless you have to. But if you do have to take the tape apart, be advised that an RCA cartridge is the hardest to do because oftentimes they're not screwed together. Sometimes they're glued together. And it's a nightmare. It really, really is. Okay, let's see what else I got. This isn't everything, but it's a few things anyway. This is a cool one. Also pretty clean. Because a lot of and I say clean because some of these things are just junky. People just thought them as a car-only format, which they weren't, but so many people used them in that way. So sometimes they're dirty, they're warped, they're, that one's pretty clean. Looks pretty brand new. Pretty brand new. My Fair Lady. This is cool. Check this out. This is a blank sleeve, a sleeve for a blank with a really good, high-quality, low-noise tape. So that's pretty neato stuff. Inside is it doesn't belong to this tape, but that's a pretty typical condition one. This is a great album by the Carpenters. Check the bubbling out on that. That's a good example of that glue bubbling up or out or shrinking. I don't know if it's shrinking because there's nothing in the bubbles. The bubbles are just air. But yeah, Carpenters is a group that I have gotten into as an adult. Karen Carpenter's voice is amazing. Wizard of Oz soundtrack, 72 MCA record or MGM Records. This is a Record Club of America edition one. And for us Beatles fans, here's Magical Mystery Tour. This is a well-loved tape, as you can see. Capitol. I like these ones that have the sort of pinch, I don't know what you would call it, but the area to sort of grip the tape. Most 8-track players, the tape sticks out the back, and you need to be able to get a good grip because that's how you stop it from playing, is yanking it out, which always feels so wrong. And other tapes have just like a little grippy area or something. Anyway, those are a few of my... I'll listen to it every once in a while. Maybe I'll throw on an 8-track tape for a while. The motor on it's a little loud. It's not the quietest thing. In fact, when I first got this Pioneer cabinet, it had a glass door, which was nice because it kind of covered up a lot of the motor noise. Now you just turn up the volume. It works. Sorry for the mid-rolls, guys, but I thank you for sitting through them. Oh, yeah. Old Radios remembers that Akai combo. I had a reel-to-reel Akai that had an 8-track in the side. Oh, yeah. And I still have this 8-track player. I love this thing. My TNT 1974 Panasonic. Just stick the tape in the side. It's even got batteries in it. You know what? We could even play it tape. Wizard of Oz.
Remembering to ask for a brain. And you otherwise hobnob with my brother Wizard.
My goodness, I can talk again.
It's awesome. It actually sounds really, really good. Battery operated or AC operated. It's got an AC power cord as well. It doesn't have the solenoid to switch. You have to manually push the plunger down, but it's part of the charm. It's really cool unit. I love that thing. I got it for like $13. Those go for like $150, and it's in perfect condition. I had to fix a roller, but besides that, it's in perfect condition. Yeah, Frugal Audiophile. Check out Crosley's crates. They're really good. We've done review videos of them, multiple review videos of them, and there's links in there as well. Good evenings from Athens, Greece. My friend, welcome in. Mark says, who all's YouTube channels can you name that you've seen? Man, I actually saw a YouTuber tonight. Was over having dinner on Walt Disney World property. I didn't stop in and say anything, but I saw a channel called Right Down Main Street, and it's a YouTuber. And oh gosh, Adam the Woo. I've met him a few times. I got a picture with him, a couple pictures with him. I've met Nate. What's his channel? Paging Mr. Morrow. I'm friends with a couple other channels that I've met here or there virtually, or have an email conversation going back and forth with. I've chatted with Matt Techmoan a few times. What's his name? Vinylize and V Westlife. Him and I'll exchange messages from time to time. They're all great people. They're very kind, and mostly just sharing stuff. Like, I think this would be a great idea for you. They'll reach out to me and say, this would be a good idea for your show. And likewise, if I think it's like, or if I need advice or something, they're happy to share. Those are some that come to mind. It is an early day in Athens. I didn't think we'd get anybody that was sleeping, but thank you very much. Old Radios has a Pioneer 4/8 track combo deck. I haven't gotten. I was thinking about getting into 4-track. I've so far avoided it, and also play tape, which is like miniature 8 tracks, and kind of the same idea as the TNT plunger. And I came across a bunch of them recently, and I didn't have a machine to go with it. It was just a bunch of tapes. I should have bought the tapes. It was a good deal on the tapes. Maybe I'll go back because I know where they're at, and until I get a machine. I was surprised how small they were. I thought they were maybe a little bit smaller than a 4-track tape or an 8-track tape, but they were like miniature. They're like the size of a pack of cards. They're really small. My grandpa had a sound design rack stereo built in the early 90s. It was like 5 feet tall. Yeah, Sound Design was one of those brands sometimes that would it cracked me up because it's always the kind of stuff that I would have, where it would have the word digital written all over it. Digital, infrared remote control receiver unit, everything to get the word digital up there. And so there's some units that even the component systems that have like, it was really just a tape deck, but they'd make a ridiculously large radio tuner and then a command center, which was like for, radio, tape, no CD, very basic functionality. EQ that looks like an 8-band EQ, and it's really a 4-band EQ, or what I mean, where 2 or 3 of the sliders are attached to each other. You remember those? It was always like rip-off stuff. If it ever has the IR receiver labeled, it's probably not top end. And that's always the kind of stuff I have. And some of those, I don't know if it was Sound Design, they even had another component thing, and it was all to make it look big, make it look like a good system. They'd even have like a storage unit for your tapes, looking like a compact, like a component in the stereo system. Yeah, the bigger the better. And then the speakers would be like 15 watts each instead of 80, like a big system, like a real system. So yeah, totally. I remember it. And that's always the kind of stuff. George says they didn't want to. Jim Reeves, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah, Jim Reeves. And what's funny is since Jim Reeves was on RCA and Patsy Cline on Decca, they released 2 versions. Jim Reeves with Patsy Cline, and that was the one on RCA, and then Patsy Cline with Jim Reeves, and that was the one on MCA, on Decca MCA. Yeah, that was an interesting one. I don't like that era was rough, George, for Patsy Cline, because they were doing a lot of overdubbing where they would take out the beautiful arrangements and background music to songs that she had performed and recorded with Owen Bradley back in the day, and replaced it with what was then current, contemporary country music, and it was just but in my opinion, it's tacky sounding compared to the original. I would much rather have the original. So a lot of those albums even the Sweet Dreams album soundtrack, which I have, it's half of the songs are overdubs. And maybe if I had heard those first, they would be my favorites. But I like the original Decas. I want the original Decca sound mixed by Owen Bradley. Anything since then, I want it. I'm not interested in it if it's the studio recordings. Now, when you're talking about remixing, not fundamentally changing, but using remastering techniques and software to remove noise and stuff for like radio remotes, television remotes, and stuff, I'm all for it. Fun until the splice breaks. That's not fun, and then it sucks it into the cartridge. Matt says, I grew up in the UK in the 70s and 80s. 8-track was reasonably popular there, but it flopped in mainland Europe. Yeah, it's interesting. Really interesting. And ironically, minidisc was a lot bigger for you guys than it was for us. Or I say you guys. I'm saying people in the UK. Heads misaligned. The head bracket on this one was plastic, and it had a hairline crack in it. When I was doing the video, somebody's like, you should super glue that before it fully breaks. If you have a machine with a metal head bracket, you're fine. But a lot of them apparently had plastic, like a cheap white plastic one. And as soon as that bracket cracks, your head's out of alignment, like you said there. So I just put some super glue on there to reinforce it before it fully snapped. One track bleeds into another. Sometimes, I think like maybe 20% of the albums are that way. Usually they can arrange them so the track ends between the splice. And again, it's not like most people are going to have that version of the album as their only copy. You know what I mean? Like, I doubt there's many Beatles fans that's their only copy of Magical Mystery Tour. You know what I mean? They probably have it on vinyl or CD. Frugal Audiophile has that same Henry Mancini album on vinyl. I love it. That's cool. Crazy Unravel and Become a Mess. Oh yeah, I've had them fall apart in my hands. I had a Glenn Miller one on spool. I was trying to. There's a channel out there. I love this channel. Like, guys, it cracks me up. Check it out sometime. It's called Barry's 8-track Repair. I think it's called Barry's 8-track Repair. And this guy is sitting there at his workbench, and he's got multiple cameras, and he's switcher. He'll switch cameras. He's like, all right, I'm going to go into this, and he zooms in, and it looks like it's shot on VHS or U-matic or something. I mean, it's very standard def. It's great, though, the aesthetic of it. And he is like a master of repairing 8-track machines, especially for cars. And he has this trick. He's like, here's what you do. Get yourself, when you're resplicing a tape, he's like, make a loop, and I'm doing this. This is how I destroy the tape. And it's not a bad method, but I wouldn't do this if you're, new to 8-track, as I am. So he's got a spool, and it's an endless loop, obviously. So if you pull on one side, the other side goes in. But if you have a loop, how do you spool it back up? Well, technically the inside of the spool and the outside of the spool are moving in different, speeds. So over time, the loop will decrease. But there's no sprocket that's available to you. The only gear, so to speak, is the pinch roller, which is built in. And so what you should do is take the time to get that thing in there. But he's like, what you should do is take the loop, and I forget which side it was. He's like, just yank on it. And he's like, just yank on it, and it'll super speed it up and suck it up real tight. It's like, and it looks magical when he does it. It's like amazing. And I tried it one time, and it actually worked up to this point. It left about 3 inches of tape out, so I pulled it back out. I'm like, I'm going to try a little faster. So, whoosh, and the whole thing fell apart. It was unrecoverable. Like, you could have sat there for 6 hours manually spooling it, but it's like, just buy another copy. So yeah. Yep, fun stuff. Liz, we talked about the Philco a little bit earlier. So right now, I'm getting quotes on getting it repaired. Either tubes and mostly the caps. So getting the caps replaced. I found a guy that also would do um, any other components that needed repair as well. And the tubes obviously will probably need to be replaced or looked at if they're not newer and still functioning. So I need somebody with a tube tester. And then some people will work on the mechanical side, the turntable. Some won't. And then I'll probably end up doing the finish to the furniture part, polish and all cleaning it up and doing the paint and stuff. So I'm still getting prices on it. I planned on working on it this weekend, but I decided to make the call to bring in some help because it's above my pay grade. I'm way behind on comments. I'm so sorry. Carpetbagger. Have I met Carpetbagger? No, I haven't. I love him though. He's great. And I know also I have met is I met Micah, World of Micah. He was with Adam one day. I was over filming for the show over at in Kissimmee at the thrift store. He goes, Hope Thrift. And my wife's in the car and she's like, you won't believe who's in the parking lot. She's like, it's Adam with Micah. So it was cool to see those guys again. First time we ran into him was at the Christmas festival, or him, Adam, at the Christmas festival and celebration in Florida. Okay, let me get caught up on comments here. You guys, I really appreciate all the comments and thank you for the patience. And then I'll let you know once I get caught up on comments, if I can get caught up on comments, I will show you the records I've been collecting lately, the things I've picked up, some of which I've talked about, some of which I haven't, some of which I'm going to share in their entirety on the show. And you're like, how can you do that? I will show you shortly. Cassettes weren't good for music yet at first, so 8-track made sense for portability. That's true. Early cassettes were not quite good enough, especially with their slow speed. 8-tracks were faster. George says, I used to have an entire collection of 8-track. Ozzy Osbourne, Kansas, John Fogerty were among the original collection. That's awesome. I like Munt's 4 tracks better, honestly. Interesting design, how they chose to do an opening for the pinch roller instead of including the pinch roller. They're so expensive now. Isn't everything? Went grocery shopping today, and it was like $4.50 for a loaf of bread. Since when did bread go from 89 cents to $4.50? It's ridiculous. I had the RCA changer, but I think I sold it. Oh, which one did you have? There was a lot of them. I had a 49 and a 50 changer at one point. Matthew says, I blame Techmoan. I sometimes wish he never mentioned stuff. Oh, the Techmoan effect, right? Yeah, this is cool. Oh, when you have millions of subscribers, this is crazy. Yeah, absolutely. Whittier Tennyson, welcome in. Basically got a 1983 Byron Adams tape for free. Sounds quite good on a BASF Chrome tape. That's awesome. Good find. Liz says, it is the least cool format. LOL, had a sound design player from 76. And what I remember about 8-tracks is they would change sides in the middle of the song and not very smoothly. They kind of had a mind of their own. When the solenoid goes off, it's like you're changing tracks. Here in Finland, 4 a.m. Whittier, my friend, thank you for making time for me. Do you have to be up that early for work? Old Radio says they're meant to be portable, mostly for teenagers. Brian Adam cuts like a knife C cassette from 1983. How did the Vanilla Ice turntable turn out? Did the manufacturer... Are you talking about the clear one? So that was a manufactured sample, the clear record player. People were driving me not crazy. They were really making me crack up because they were like, why don't you call the manufacturer? Call the 800 number. What is wrong with you? You don't have to stand for this. If you missed it, go back to last week's videos. We did like a 4-part odyssey on all the problems with the Ice One record player, which was a fun process. It was a fun process. That was a review sample. It was designed to test. So it's not like I needed to make sure that it worked. If it didn't work at all, it would have still been fine. It was just It was just for testing purposes. Ended up just being a cartridge was wired backwards. I had set out of phase, but it really was just backwards. It was inverted wiring on the left and right. And then the switch on the back, the preamp switch, was labeled backwards or wired backwards, one of the two. Once you fix those things, it was fine. But it's super cool looking turntable. Very heavy, solid acrylic. Of course, the Panasonic sounds great. I still have my Panabit round radio from '72. That's awesome. Still works, but mostly not much on AM anymore. Isn't that the truth? Frugal audiophile, yeah, that sounds a lot like my grandpa's sound design system. My grandma had it in her house many years after he died till 2015. I got a white Tuda Loop radio. What? What is that? Mark says, how about ones like UXW Bill, Radio, TV, Phononut? So I have not met in person any other YouTubers in my realm, but I've watched obviously a lot of stuff. Yeah. Do you own any Chumbawamba or Huey Lewis in the news? I've got a Huey Lewis. I think I got a Huey Lewis 45 or 2, and both Chumbawamba and Huey Lewis on Apple Music playlist for sure. Greg, welcome in, my friend. Thank you so much for being there. Matthew, still have several mini disc players. Yes, very popular in the UK, not so much in the US. I bought a disc to work one day, and the 20-somethings looked at it and didn't know what it was. I know, right? Yeah, I think there's a lot of people out there that wouldn't know what it is. I've had the worst luck with 8-track. I've got my JE510 Sony that won't stop. It'll record. I've said this so many times. For those of you that have heard me say this 78 times, I apologize. But what happens on my Sony mini disc is it gets up to about 45 minutes recording time, and then it just starts going screwy and making a bunch of like half-second recordings and faulting out. I've replaced parts. I bought, I thought it was a transport, so I bought a new transport. I bought a whole unit on eBay, and I told the guy, just send me the transport. I was so sure it was the transport. And if I probably would have had him send the front panel instead where all the logic is, that probably would have fixed it. I'm sure it's an electronics problem now. I used to think it was like a mechanical thing, but it's not. And then the portables, I've been through like 3 portables, and the one I've got now kind of sort of works sometimes. I can never get the gum stick batteries to work. I charge them up and they just don't work. I have to plug it into a hardwire thing. And it's just like, for a while I was going down that route. I've kind of backed off on it. I'll listen to mini discs probably less frequently than 8-track. So every few months I'll put on an 8-track. I'd like to do more with it. I like to do more with a show about that topic as well. Matthew works for Sony. Wow, that's cool. That is really cool. Boy, you could be in the movie industry. You could be in the electronics industry. You could be in medical imaging. You could be in a lot of different industries and still work for Sony. That is so cool. Seems like there's a lot of delay on the stream versus the comments. It's not a delay. It's me being very, very slow to get back to these comments. I've seen some of the videos by Barry's 8-track repair. Yeah, great channel. So fun. Thank you, Greg. I appreciate it, my friend. Have you ever had a quad system? I have not. Yeah, it's I've got a couple quad discs that actually sound pretty dang good. Yeah, I've got one just out of arm's reach over there on a stereo system, but no, I don't have I'm aware of it, the technology and whatnot, but no, I've never had one. DJ Trish, welcome, and thanks again for all those mixtapes on CD. Really cool, and the stickers and everything. That was a great gift. I really appreciate it. Jerry, welcome in. We have a Rasputin Records, and it's as big as Sound Warehouse. $295 to $595 for thousands of CDs. That sounds like heaven. I would love to do that. I just went did a little record shopping recently. If you guys haven't seen my shorts, if I go record hunting, I usually make a short of those videos now. They usually don't get too many views if it's a long form. So if you want to see the record crate digging stuff, it's mostly in our shorts feed, which you can get to from the channel. And we put those on TikTok usually too. Our TikTok feed is about 80% the same content as our YouTube shorts feed, but sometimes we do stuff over there we don't do over here. We've even toyed around with lives over there as well. It's a very different space than YouTube. Very, very different. Been doing that for a few years now. I would love to go to a big record shop like that. I went to one down in Claremont this past weekend called Triangle Vinyl. And I think I already uploaded that video to my Shorts feed yesterday, and the TikTok feed. I'd been there before, and I had forgotten I was there, but I was in the neighborhood, so I thought I'd stop in. I didn't think I'd been there, and I drove up, and I'm like, I've been here before. What are your thoughts on Vinylize? Also, did I miss your response to the Chumbawamba and Huey Lewis? I just said that, so I think you've heard that now. But yeah, I do have both of those guys' stuff. Vinylize, it's interesting. He's got a massive audience. Well, at least he's got a lot of subscribers. Now, they always say it's not about the subscribers, it's about the views. So if you're not making videos, then it doesn't count for much. Yet he's built a huge audience. So I am very impressed by that. And like I said, he was one of the people that advised me when I started the channel. So I definitely have respect for him, what he's done. And he's been incredibly successful. I don't understand why he has chosen, maybe life has just gotten in the way, but he hasn't done a lot of content. He just uploaded a video on like the top Tool albums of all time. You know, he's into metal, and he's not a fan of entry-level stuff. He really likes, you know, like 4 or 5 turntables. So you'll see those pop up from time to time on his top turntable list videos. But yeah, it's a different format. It's a different type of show. It's a sit and talk. You know, he's on camera the whole time, and he's putting in pictures of stuff, and he's talking about stuff. Whereas usually we do the cold open, a little bit of screen time, a little bit of face-to-face time, then we get into whatever it is, and it's mostly the product. So it's a different format, different type of show. But no, he's done a great job. I wish he would do more content because, you know, and it's interesting. My wife and I were just talking about that. It's amazing. A lot of people have disappeared from the YouTube space. Do you remember that kid, Jack's Tracks Records? And he was killing it. He was doing an amazing job. So dynamic. He was so well-spoken, and he had a great personality, and just disappeared like a couple of years ago. Compare my 1950 RCA 45. Oh, interesting. He's in Michigan. Liz, thanks for that. And then if anybody has any leads on, you know, people that repair stuff that can help me with the Philco, please do let me know. Have you ever seen any videos by UXW Bill? It sounds familiar. I think I probably have. Yes, K-Pay's guy reviewed the ice, and he was not having any issues with the phone line switch. Interesting. Yeah, there's like one other video that did it before me, I think. Yes, Nick. Thank you, Nick Martinez. Hit the like button if you wouldn't mind, folks. Would very much appreciate that. Yeah, it just takes a second. Doesn't cost anything. Smash that like button. Thumbs up. Have you seen VOS Live's big old sound design shelf system? It's a mug's eye full Cornell tech moan and groan. I think I have. Yeah, sound design stuff cracks me up. So yeah, that's what I've got is the sound design 8-track player. Yeah, cheap sound design. I love it though. It's like I said, it's the kind of stuff I would always get. So I've got a soft spot in my heart. Sometimes it's fun to go back and see like vintage CD players. I remember, you know, and that was like the budding technology. Like when I was in high school, was portable CD players. So you'd go to like Circuit City, kids. Do you remember Circuit City or Sears or someplace? And they would have these listening stations with like 50 different portable CD players. There were so many of them. And of course you'd have the Philips, the Sony, the, you know, the high end stuff. Then you'd have the mid range, like the Magnavox and the JVC. And then you would have at the lower end, like the RCA, I think even sound design, Grand Prix, stuff like that. And to see, and it was always the same thing. The cheaper the model, the cheaper the product, the word digital would be bigger. You know, it would have the CD logo big. By the way, that must be that CD logo. I don't know if Philips owns that or Sony, but you don't see that on new CD products. They've created a new CD logo. CDs will have it, but modern CD players, I don't know if I have any nearby, won't have that logo. They'll have a different CD logo. But it was always kind of funny to see how the cheapest ones would sell themselves. And you'll see those things still pop up in thrift stores. I like to pick them up sometimes. If I can get like a portable CD player for like $5, I'd like to do it. By the way, of all the, and you guys may know, I've got a pretty sizable, although less so since we moved, portable CD player collection. I love CDs. I love CDs. Great format, arguably my favorite format. And I've never had a Panasonic, and I really would like to. They had this cool thing where you'd push this little button in the middle of the hub, and it would eject the disc upward. I thought that was cool. I get knocked down, but I get up again. Yeah, it's a good song. Eric, welcome in. Do you know of a turntable that fits into an old Electra home console stereo? The original is a dual changer. It's not a lot of space in there. An LP60 is too big for the front. Oh, okay. That's a very good question. So if an LP60 is too big front to back, look at an LP70, because the LP70 is shallower front to back, but it's wider lengthwise. So if you have more lengthwise space, look at the dimensions of an LP70. If the 60 and the 70 are too small, I don't know what you would do. You'd have to go with something really small, like a Crosley. Well, no, that would be too big. Let's see. Maybe like a Soundburger. May not look that good, but a Soundburger would probably fit in there. Matthew says, I started off in Sony Electronics, but now work for PlayStation. But yes, I used to be involved in Minidisc. That's so cool, dude. That is awesome. I've been working as a consumer of Sony for years, not just consumer Sony, but I have my background is in broadcast television. So I have experience working with Sony U-matic machines, Sony Beta SP machines, Sony HyperHAD cameras, Sony tube cameras, Sony everything, microphones. I love Sony. That's so cool. That is so cool. What a cool thing to have on your resume. DJ Trish, is the Studebaker CD tape recorder worth investing in? The boombox, the red one? Or it doesn't matter. Yes, it is. It's cool. It's very, very cool. It's kind of novelty-ish. Like, I wouldn't go dropping it, but the red one sounds amazingly good, and it looks incredible. It's very, very fun. Very, very fun. Still have it, and I'm going to keep it. I still absolutely love it. If I take it and my 1991 Sony side by side, I can feel that it's cheap. The construction is cheaper. But nothing is like super cheapo, flimsy, or fake. There's no like fake decorative. It's like, I think the tweeter was real on that. I think. Don't quote me on that, but I don't remember there being any fake decorative things. I remember the red one sounded way better than expected. The silver one, the CD only one, sounded good, but maybe not quite as good. Record City in San Diego, California. Shout out to Graham and the guys. Very cool. So one of you guys mentioned about not volume music. That's in Houston. About whatchamacallit. East West Records, south of Orlando, down there, going out of business. And so I think that was in another live. And so I looked into it. They were going out of business, are going out of business. I think their plan was to stay open through the end of August. I made it out there a couple weeks ago and filmed a short video. I haven't posted it yet. And at that point, their vinyl was almost completely gone, but they did have CDs. I'm going to use that as a springboard to talk about one of the things I picked up recently. And this is on my Bing Crosby kick. So I picked up this 100 Hits Legends Bing Crosby 5 CD set from East West. I think it was like 70% off. So I paid like not much money. It was listed at $10.99. This is a UK release, and they released a bunch of like famous artist compilations. Bing Crosby's so prolific. recorded over 400 studio albums. It's like, where do you begin? And I'll show you kind of my approach. So if you look on this, it shows some of the other artists they've put collections. Andy Williams, the Rat Pack, Louis Armstrong, Frank Sinatra, Vera Lynn. And it actually has four, we'll call it a third-party release. It has a booklet, which is pretty rare. And then we've got 5 discs in a clamshell jewel case. 1, 2. Do we have 5? Yeah, because these ones are doubled up. When they figured out that, hey, we can fit a lot more in here than we thought we could in the space of a CD. Doesn't that flip out? It does. Yeah, I'm not going to fiddle with it now. Anyway, pick this up. These are original recordings, 5 CDs, 100 songs. This is 1/4 of his studio output on one collection. So I figured that was a good place to start. I think I've shown this a couple of times. I am enamored by this set. This is incredible. This is a Laser Light Digital, so a value brand, but they did some cool radio stuff. These were remastered from original masters, 16-inch transcription discs, Kraft Music Hall productions during World War II. It's a 5-disc set. I got 4 of them in there right now. That's been a lot of fun. So yeah, I was really bummed to hear they were going out of business. That was the first record shop I checked out when we moved here, and it was one of my favorites. Went to Record Store Day there a year or 2 ago. Whittier had a Sony CD Walkman. Yeah, I had the Discman before they changed the name to CD Walkman. I had the D131. Still have one. GPX. Which, yeah, by that time it was GPX. Before that, it was Grand Prix, same company. Also, another Walmart. Grand Prix, I think, was actually its own company. I thought that too, that they were like a Walmart brand. I do have a Walmart, or did have a Walmart brand CD player. The branding of stuff is crazy. What brand was Walmart using? They had White Westinghouse for a while, but this was something else. I can't think of what it was. By the way, Amazon, if you ever see anything electronics, Byron Statics, which is a weird, what the heck, what does that mean? That's actually an Amazon brand, Byron Statics. They make like cheap cassette players and stuff. Now I have a Sony tape Walkman with a digital tuner, 5 pounds from a flea market years ago. That's awesome. If you like cassette player portables, check out our videos on the We Are Rewind and the FIO modern portable cassette players. They're incredible. But I still have a soft spot in my heart for my old, whatchamacallit. It's in the studio right now. It's an old, very basic. It couldn't even rewind, only fast forward. Can't beat sound quality versus price ratio of CD. I know, right? And that's the thing. I did a show a long time ago about CD where I was like, you know what? Even the cheapest of CD players sound incredible. You know what I mean? Whereas vinyl, you have to get a good player to play a record and have it sound as good as it can. But you don't have to get a really good CD player in order to get it to sound as good as it can. A cheap CD player sounds pretty dang close to a very high-end CD player, whereas a record player, cheap one versus a very nicer one, there's a bigger gap. And I agree. And they're like $1 a piece right now. Now is the time, the golden era of CDs, to go and snap them up from thrift stores. Who knows how long it'll last? They always said, well, it's going to fade away. They always said CDRs would fade away. They don't fade away. CD rot, I think, is extremely overstated. I've only had one disc in the, probably thousands of CDs I've had my hands on that has ever developed CD rot. And it didn't even develop it. I just bought it, and it already had it. And it still plays. Guess the argument could be made that streaming can sound better, but I have yet to experience that. So, Frugal Audiophile. Apple Music has lossless. They have Dolby Atmos, and they have Apple lossless. Check those out. They're incredible. Especially the spatial Dolby Digital. If you get the right headphones on, it's like, it's indescribable. It's like 4K sound. It's not like a resolution thing at that point, because there's only so much the human ear. Arguably a compact disc at 16 bits is already above the threshold of digital audio quality, being able to discern it. as a human brain, what can it really detect? But in terms of spatial positioning, spatial audio, it's incredible. It's like you're on stage. Super cool. There's definitely a place in my heart for streaming. But I love physical media. I just love it. All right, we're going to get to show and tell here in just a minute. We're well over the hour mark. I was only planning on doing an hour, but when we're having fun and you guys are having fun, I want to ride the wave a little bit. Wow, made this Walkman from the trash. Amazing. I have a question. Why does my Audio-Technica LP60 needle keep dropping all the way down? Meaning like too fast? Sometimes there's a little hydraulic piston in there, and the fluid can drain out or dry out, and it just, those old ones, especially the old LP60s, have a tendency of dropping. But you have an X. It shouldn't be doing that. Look at my video on, I did a video recently, where I had to replace the fluid in an Audio-Technica LP3 because the tone arm was dropping too fast. There's like little kits you can get with silicone. It's like some kind of lubricant, and it basically allows that tone arm to drop gently again. I need to do that again to my Pioneer deck because it's got the same problem right now. It's just no damping in it whatsoever. It just drops. And as long as you've got the cueing lever, you can control it. That's one thing. But when you've got an automatic deck, it's gonna rely on that a little bit more. I just picked up one of those Panasonic portable CD players for $2 at my local thrift. I think it says MASH. Yeah. What is it? I forget. It's one of their branded things, but Pioneer had MASH. Not Pioneer. Panasonic had MASH. Yamaha had natural sound. I think that's so cool. Yeah, just some damping oil. You'll be fine. The local Walmart put all their vinyl on clearance. What? $7 for the new vinyl? I'd be clearing that place out. There's so many greatest hits albums. Guaranteed. Thank you, Greg. I appreciate the comments. Emerson. They might have been at one point. I'm not 100% sure. Sometimes when I'm bored, I'll go on like Wikipedia and search for the history of a brand that I've heard of or whatever and learn about who owned it. Sometimes they're traded off over time. But the brand, I got it on the tip of my tongue. I can't quite think of it. Durabrand. That's what it was. Durabrand was Walmart brand. And there's like marketing people. We want to convey durability in the brand. I know. How about we combine them? Durability brand. Durabrand. And that's how it was born. They do it with car names all the time. They pick these words that have positive, meanings, and they kind of create a fake word based off of the real word. DVD-R was the CD rot. Interesting. Yeah, I never had that. I didn't do a whole lot with DVD-R. A little bit. I had my wife and I owned a production company. We were producing some DVD-R stuff for clients. But we didn't do a whole lot of it. Just bought my LP60X Audio-Technica today, and the needle keeps dropping all the way down. We just talked about that. Heard the lossless Apple Music tracks. I guess they sound better than a Redbook CD, but it is negligible. And it would be because, like I said, CD, a lot of people believe that a CD is already surpassing your ability and to define the difference, to a higher level. People that say, I only listen to FLAC, complete, uncompressed, lossless compression or whatever. I think that people have these golden ears. You hear that term. They think they can hear a lot more than they can. I agree. Physical media, there's something about owning it. You know what I mean? Like I could download that album. It's not going to mean anything to me, but I have it on the wall because it demonstrates, and it reminds me when I see it, it's not for anybody but myself to say, yeah, I remember the hunt. I remember the excitement of finding it. You know what I mean? It's not even saying, oh, this is expensive and I'm not like flexing or whatever, because the world of collectible vinyl, this is nothing. But to me, it represented some patience, or somebody gave me something or whatever. You know what I mean? It has meaning to it. The physical, I own 100 tracks of Bing Crosby in physical media form. I physically own it. And it's not to be selfish or materialistic, but there's something about that versus even downloading music. Remember when people found out that you don't really buy music from iTunes? You buy a license to listen to it. You don't own those downloads. You just own the license, which they can revoke at any time. Oh boy, maybe you have to be born in a era of physical media to really appreciate it. I don't know. Oh wow, just got it like an hour ago. It just happens, man. It just happens. Don't worry about it though. You can get it fixed. Lossless format gives you more dynamics, better separation, but you need good speakers or headphones. That's true. When you get into that super high resolution stuff, you really need to be able to have a good way to amplify it and hear it. Anthony, welcome in. This has made me realize that I missed too many of these streams. I think I only joined about 1 in 4. I need to put that. All right. Yeah, we'd love to have you. It's just hanging out. It's just, you know what I mean? It's just hanging out. And like I said, we don't post them all. So if you make the live, that's the best. Yeah, that sounds like you've got very good speakers. On, yeah, that's the brand. On is the Walmart brand. You know, I had been in talks with Walmart for some time to do a show where in fact, the only thing they were able to send to me to review were those little On earbuds, the cheap earbuds that have ironically lasted longer than some of my high-end earbuds, if you can believe it. I still have them. They work fine. They're not the highest quality sound, but they're durable. But yeah, On is the brand. I have a FIO KA5 pushing to 3-way IEMs, and I think that this is the first time I have heard classic Michael Jackson the right way. Amazing. That's awesome. I'm tongue-tied. I'm an MJ fan, so that's really cool. Right now at the new place, I'm just using my old Hamilton old school record player. That's cool. Philips was blocked from distribution in the U.S. by Philco, as the name was too similar. Yeah, the Norelco. Yeah, I remember the Norelco shavers. My dad had that. Okay, I finally caught up on comments. Keep them coming, though. I want to show you some of the things I picked up recently. So wanting to start getting some Bing Crosby on vinyl, I had started kind of low-effort version of collecting Bing Crosby a year or two ago. I always do a New Year's vinyl resolution, like what artist am I trying to collect next? What am I looking for? And after I got through the Patsy Cline cycle, Larry, welcome in, and thank you for modding tonight. I appreciate it. I picked up this box set. So this is one of those Reader's Digest box sets. This is from 1978, I believe. It's called Bing Sings. And I thought this would be a great way to bulk up on the hundreds of Bing Crosby albums out there. Like, where do I start? It's overwhelming. So I thought this would be a great way to do it. Now, if you're new to vinyl or new to record collecting, Reader's Digest box sets are fantastic. They are made by RCA Victor, as you can see down there, little RCA Victor logo. The records are pressed with the same quality as a Victor RCA Victor black label record. I mean, it's their premium record. They're not even like Camden records. They're not. What is the thing? You guys already know what I'm. Before I can even articulate it, the really thin 70s RCA is not like those Dynaflex. None of that. It's like the thick quality records, and they're just fantastic. So I picked this up, and I was like, yeah, that's a good place to start. And then I kind of fizzled out on Bing Crosby a bit, and I would listen every once in a rare while, but then when I kind of reinvigorated my interest in, going a little bit deeper on Bing Crosby recently, I started watching the road movies and stuff. I pulled this set out again. It's just great. It's got a lot of his early material, and it's separated sort of by year. So this is like the first Crosby hits, disc 1. Disc 2 is 1938. Disc 2, side 2 is 1945. So it's separated out by year. And obviously, even at this level, you're only, top 10, or not top 10, but you're only talking about the top hits because he had so much material. I want to show you the record quality. So this is what the RCA Reader's Digest records look like. It's a beautiful, beautiful record. This is probably 130 gram pressing. I have seen thicker records. I have seen way thinner records. This is like standard, good quality RCA Victor pressing. It does have a raised hub. It does have groove guard. They didn't advertise that very long, but which is the thicker outer edge, so they can be used on a stacker like my Technics up there. No problem at all. So it's a great way to have it. And I was like, well, what do I do now? Do I start collecting individual albums? Because I'd like to get more music of his on vinyl. So I found that there was a follow-up set. So this is the 1978 Bing Sings. You can buy this. This isn't rare at all. None of these RCAs are rare. You can find them at your local record shop, usually on the floor underneath, all the good records. They'll probably let you walk out of there for $5 with this box set. But I found out they did another one in 1980. They did a follow-up called Bing Sings Again. So I just picked this up about a week ago, also by RCA. It's literally the follow-up. They all come in these nice boxes and pull out, and you've got the track listings. And this one's really cool how it's laid out. Some of the older RCA sets have a flap that comes down, and the flap has this information on it. But yeah, this is super cool. And what they've done here, they've got a little picture of them there, but they're sorted by, and these are different tracks than are on the other one for the most part. But they've got like the Road Pictures songs on one disc, more film music there. Then it's got Bing Crosby on the Air, so radio material. Then there's one with the country recordings, one with duets with people, one with salute to other people who sang, and one swings with Bing swings with a Dixieland beat, and things like that. So they're kind of themed out. In addition, this set has its original inset booklet. They came with booklets, and a lot of times the booklets didn't last. They also listed the tracks alphabetically on the back. So if you knew a song you wanted, but you didn't, know where it was, you could look at this, and it would say, okay, the information about that song is on page XYZ of the booklet, and then it's on record number whatever, side whatever. And then if you look in here, of course, we've got the biography with some pictures. Try to do this so you guys can see it. It's story time, children. So we've got a biography information, some photographs, and then like a paragraph on every song. So you can sit there and learn about some of the music and not just listen to it. This is, textbook physical media. This is why we love this stuff, because it's streaming is about, and this is something that a lot of snobs, quote unquote, would agree with me on. This is one point where we agree, is that streaming is about putting on some music while you do something else. Think about it. While you drive, which wouldn't be a good place to play a record. And I know there was car record players and stuff. Or while you're exercising, or while you're walking, or while you're working, or you know what I mean? Like, put on some streaming while you're doing something else. And people do that with physical media too. I'm not saying all physical media isn't that way, but physical media can be, in a case like this, about getting rid of the other distractions. Put on a record, walk over to the couch, sit down, and open the booklet and read about the music. Look at the physical side of it and detach from the distractions. Check out these cool sleeves this set comes in. The other set, the sleeves were like mildewed, and so I got rid of all of them and put modern anti-static sleeves. These ones are poly-lined, and they look really cool, and they're in really fresh, clean, non-old smelling condition. So anyway, so I picked up this set. And between these two box sets, I've got a good amount of material to get me started. So I'm not saying I'm not going to collect albums, because I definitely would like to get some, but I think that that's a good way to kind of jump in with both feet into this collection. Plus, I don't want to. I've always said this, and I mean it. I don't want to bulk up just for the sake of bulking up. If I want to buy stuff, I will listen to. I actually listen to and use the things that I have. Let me get caught up on comments, and I got a couple more things I want to show you. Jared says, I'm 33 and took several hearing tests online. They say I have the hearing of a 64-year-old. I definitely have compromised hearing myself. I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. Found a Philips Norelco micro cassette deck from '68. Oh man, you know what? I've done shows on the not micro cassette. Well, is it micro cassette? Was the dictation tapes like the Olympus was the master of dictation, like little voice recorders. My dad gave me one that he had in the '90s. It was at the time a pretty nice Olympus machine. Unfortunately, somehow it got bent. I think it was in a box, a moving box, and somehow it got bent. So the cabinet on it, the body of the unit is just kind of bent upwards, so it doesn't quite play right. It doesn't work. I've done a show about it a long time ago, but I know they were released. They actually did some like hi-fi component systems with a micro cassette. I think it was the mic because there's a few of those miniature tape formats. Old radio. Some of those Reader's Digest box sets are cheesy. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's the moods of the evening and stuff. All these collections of stuff. But some of them are good. I don't know. I probably have 6. I have less than 10. But it's fun too. If you're a rock and roll, like a hip hop fan, I'm a hip hop fan. But if you're looking for that kind of, you're never going to find that stuff on a Reader's Digest box set. But if you are a kindred spirit that likes big band music, easy listening, classical, opera, there's some really cool stuff, and you can really have some, and you can pick it up cheap. That's what's one good thing about being a nerd is I like the stuff that a lot of the cool people don't like. So oftentimes stuff that I like is less expensive. The Dream, welcome in, my friend. The Road movies. So I had heard about them for so long. And when I started getting into Bing Crosby again, I started watching. There's a couple that it must be in the public domain because they're all over YouTube. So I started with The Road to Rio. I think that was 47. I really liked that. Then I watched The Road to Bali, 52, and that was the color one. And that had some really funny scenes in it too. And then I watched the last one, Road to Hong Kong, which if you like James Bond, you're going to be like, what? It doesn't sound like it would be anything like this. But if you like Austin Powers, kind of mystery spy stuff, James Bond, any of that kind of 60s kind of, I've got a missile hiding in the mountain and I'm going to push the button if if XYZ doesn't happen before the countdown begins, and underground layers and stuff. And that's what you would love this movie, Road to Hong Kong. And I was so blown away that that's what it was like. I told my dad, I'm like, you have to watch this. And he knows of them. He loves old stuff too. Him and I are very much kindred spirits. And I was like, you have to check this out. And I was just surprised how it was. Now, the rest of them, because there's like 7 in total, must be all like highly copyrighted because you have to buy a DVD. So I did buy the DVD. It isn't here yet, but it's got the remaining 4 that I haven't seen yet. Larry says, Bing Crosby, David Bowie box set. There you go. Yeah, David Bowie and the famous duet with Bing Crosby. I think that was 77, right before Bing passed away. Or maybe it was 76. And I think the story was that David Bowie didn't want to sing Little Drummer Boy, so he came up with this idea of singing 2 songs at once. Whittier says, it's kind of crazy, but some of the best FLAC tracks are ripped from vinyl. Even the commercial CDs do not sound as good. Interesting. Matthew says David Bowie was a bit of a jinx in 77. He sings on the mark. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, that's interesting. That's sad. I didn't know that. Boy, that's just awful. Oh, man, I'm behind on comments again. I'm so sorry, you guys. So far behind. All right, we get caught up again, and then I'm going to share the last thing, which is these 2 more records I picked up. These next 2 I'm going to show on the channel, not in today's video, but in the near future in their entirety. Apple Music also has high-res lossless 96K. Yeah, exactly. The the 96K streams. It's just full studio resolution, the spatial, the Dolby lossless, the Apple lossless. They even have their own codec, Apple ALAC, Apple lossless audio codec. I think it's open source like FLAC too. Don't put anything on Bowie. That's nonsense. Yeah, I'm sure there's nothing to it. Just coincidence. Those boxes are good records for daily use. Noah, welcome in. Another member. You'll notice a couple folks here have the R and the little icons they can share and stuff. They are members of the channel. So if you want to become a member, it's 99 cents a month. Sometimes I do exclusive content where I'll make a show available the day before. So sneak peeks, sometimes exclusive shorts and things, and mostly just supporting the channel. 99 cents a month. I appreciate it if you guys can join. Definitely appreciate everybody that's helping support and just being there too. Vinyl is tailor-made for artists like Bing Crosby, Frank Sinatra, and Patsy Cline, in my opinion. I agree. I would definitely, the aesthetic of it, the pops, the crackles, the warmth, I agree. Is White Christmas on any of those two boxes? It might be on both. It might be. And like I said earlier, I've got that out, the White Christmas album, which is actually the Merry Christmas album, except in one CD release, they actually changed the name of it to White Christmas. But it's the Merry Christmas album. I've got it on pretty much every format. There was one format I didn't have because I have it on 78. I've got it a couple different 78 box sets, a couple different albums, 78 albums. I've got it on 10-inch LP. I've got it on 12-inch LP, cassette, compact disc, 8-track. I don't have it on reel-to-reel. I've made my own, I think, for my own use. But, yeah, I don't think I have that. But there was another format, notable format that I didn't have it on. I even have a bootleg of it on cassette. Christmas rolls around again. I'm looking forward to it. I will definitely share. I usually do at least one White Christmas show where I talk about that album specifically. Not live on a weekend. No, this is even better, Noah. I'm calling this Monday live when it's really Tuesday. That's how messed up I am. Oh, it's a dictation device. Interesting. Micro cassette was Philips. Let's see. Mini cassette was Philips. Micro cassette was Olympus. Okay. Okay, so the Longines, and I always thought it was Longines, but I was looking at, and I'm going to show you some promo stuff in a minute on YouTube, the Bing Crosby flexi disc, flexi disc, miniature disc, advertisement for the Bing Crosby My Favorite Songs of All Time box set, which is mostly not him singing, but songs he picked out. I heard them pronounce it Longines, the Longines Symphonet Society. Interesting, right? I haven't picked that box set up, and but I'm kind of intrigued, mostly because they had a bonus record. I think it was Bing Crosby's Top Hits or Tip Top Hits was a record you would get for free if you bought the box set they were selling. I think that's how it worked. There's also the advertising disc for it. Haven't picked any of that up yet. I might think about doing that. Okay. Road to Morocco is best. I haven't seen that one yet. I'm looking forward to it. Problem is I have finding it unpopular. When I find it super cheap, it never turns up. That's true. That is true. Joan Collins looks so young in Road to Hong Kong and still going strong. It's amazing. Some of these actors and things, they're just like, can't believe how long their careers last. It's amazing. No, Matthew, you're good. It's interesting. We're just chatting. I'm happy to. Don't worry about it at all. First digital studio recorder was 13 bits. Yeah, reading about those early digital recorders and things is fascinating. Very good. Right now I'm looking for Bing Crosby 96 greatest hits. Interesting. Sounds cool. Feels like a Monday, and it does. And that's why I think, yeah. Live from Central Florida, it's Tuesday Night Live. Did they really? The Longines Symphonet put out equipment? Crazy. Okay. All right, let's wrap it up. I'm having fun. Really appreciate you being there. Okay, so when I started going down the Bing Crosby road, I guess it's an appropriate term, I discovered this crazy advertising record that came out called Music to Shave By. And let me use a different finger. It's an advertising record. It's a paper record. It was 1959. And if you know anything about paper discs, flexi discs, anything from the 50s at this point, finding stuff in good condition can be tricky. Matthew, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Oh, I really appreciate it. Matthew has a super chat, $4. I'm just so thankful, my friend. Thank you so much. This is really kind of you. Really, really kind of you. Really appreciate it. That's so cool. Thank you. So nice. Okay. So Music to Shave By. It's like $10 on eBay. It's all over the place. It's historic. It's apparently not that rare. It was in magazines. And so it's a real record. I like how they, made it look like a real record too, even though it's just a piece of paper with a clear plastic layer on top. But they made sure that you knew what it was. If it was just, some other picture behind it, you may pass by and not realize what it is. But this is a real record. And start here, you can see the perforations where it was torn out of the magazine. And they go so far as to include peel and stick strips, which are still intact. They were never used. They were never used on this one. A lot of them have been used, but the idea was, with the flexi disc, sometimes you put a coin on it so it doesn't slip because it's such a lightweight record. This one you could peel and stick to your record player. But as you can see on the back, it's an advertisement for Remington's Roll-O-Matic. Is it Roll-O-Matic? Yeah, Remington Roll-O-Matic shaver. And it's not an album. It's a song recorded with music by Bing Crosby, Louis Armstrong, Rosemary Clooney, and the Hi-Lows. And they record a little bit of music that it's going to be great because I can play it in its entirety. It's not going to be copyrighted in terms of YouTube. So I'll be able to play it because it's not like the original versions. Like Louis Armstrong does a bit of Ain't Misbehavin', but it's a shaver version of it, talking about grooming. So it's super cool, dude. This is an awesome record. I've already ripped both of these, and I'm going to show you to digital for my own personal use because I don't want to play this indefinitely because these don't last forever. These grooves are shallow. It's 33 RPM, and it is a fairly high fidelity recording. I was absolutely gobsmacked at how much bass was on this record. I was getting stuff out of the subwoofer, which was amazing. So anyway, stay tuned for that. We'll be posting that sooner than later. And then the other one, this is the most recent edition, is this from 1957, Vacation Road to Minnesota, capitalizing on the whole road fever of the Bob Hope and Bing Crosby road movies. This is a Minnesota Board of Tourism advertisement record. It's a 7-inch vinyl record. This is a full-blown thick record. It's a quality real record. It's not a paper or flexi disc. And it literally has, I think it's like an 11-minute recording of them, just doing what they do, back and forth, bantering. There's music, and they're just talking about, they're traveling all over the state of Minnesota, and they're talking about all the fishing and the Minnesota Vikings, and you can do this and you can do that. And it's an absolute blast. I picked both of these up for about $10 or $11 each. Here's the back of this. Land of 10,000 lakes, 10,000 vacation opportunities. Department of Business Development, State of Minnesota, State Capital, St. Paul, Minnesota. And I love how this sleeve, see how it's rounded at the top? And it's got this little opening where you can pull the record out. I'll show you that. The record is a very thick quality release. It was actually pressed by Capitol, as you can see on there. Dual-sided, 33 RPM high-fidelity record. It's got the music of Les Baxter, and it's an absolute hoot. It's an absolute hoot. It's so fun. So I'll be playing this in its entirety on the channel. You guys will get to hear that, as well as the Music to Shave By, which was designed to be played while you shaved and listened to their bit of advertising. So You can see this big smile on my face. I'm just having a blast with this, right? This is what it's all about for me right now. And it's going to change. You know what I mean? My OCD, and I say that from a clinically diagnosed perspective, is going to, lead me to other obsessions down the road, and I will, deep dive on other things, but it makes it a lot of fun. So right now I'm just having a blast. Absolutely. Matthew, thanks again, my friend. It's been a pleasure having you here. And the super chat is just too much. Thank you so much. Are you able to upload your past lives for the replay? Some of them recent ones. Yeah, we just talked about that earlier. No, we don't post. We post about 40% of the lives. We usually make a determination afterwards whether or not we want to keep it on there. We want to incentivize people to try and join one. I know it's hard with schedules and whatnot, but we want there to be some level of difficulty just to make it more interesting. And also, it helps people come here and participate in the giveaways. We give away turntables, records, and things like that as well. So just so happy you could join. Larry's been a member from 28 months. I think you're member number 1, Larry. I think you might be member number 1. And also moderating. He's got the wrench. I'm very appreciative of you being there. Uploaded that Hill Brothers advertisement to my channel. That's cool. I love the ad stuff. I love it. We did an advertisement show recently, and I love that stuff. You can't find. That's the most interesting. That's not going to be on streaming. That's not going to be anywhere. It's going to be on YouTube where somebody like me uploads it. Absolutely. Thank you, Greg. I'm glad you like that. Yeah, that Philco is an interesting unit. I can't wait to work on it. Share it some more. Have you heard of the McDonald's promo Flexi Disc for a contest? Yeah, where they like $1 million giveaway and you play it to find out if you win. Yeah, absolutely. That's cool. I might pick that up one of these days. Matthew, who did the McDonald's promo, I don't know if Via Westlife did it. He might have, but I know I saw it actually on Vinylize. Vinylize did a video about the McDonald's record. Yeah, cool. All right, my friends, that's going to do it for today. I want to say a huge thank you. Everybody showing up, just being there. Gunmetal Guy USA, thank you for being there as well. And this has just been a blast. It's been fun. So if you guys know any Bing Crosby stuff, you find anything in the wild, let me know. That's what I'm on the hunt for right now. I definitely share with you what I find, and I'll be posting those records in the near future. We've got record player reviews coming your way. I've got a all-in-one system with speakers, turntable, all-in-one solution in a box thing that's literally a cube. It's gigantic. So that will be coming on the channel soon. That was a request. Somebody mentioned it on a show, and we hadn't reviewed it, and we will be soon. So looking forward to that. I've got a lot of other stuff. Jerry, welcome in. Thank you for being there as well. Just a huge thank you. If you haven't given me a thumbs up yet on the channel, the thumbs up button too, I'd appreciate it. And I'm just so thankful for you guys being there. You're awesome. Yes, Bing and the Andrews sisters, Noah, great stuff. I love it. Love their stuff together. Absolutely. I'm trying to think of what else I can tell you is going on. We've got a lot of fun stuff coming your way. I don't even know what to say. It's just a lot of cool, crazy stuff. Some unique things planned. Had our planning meeting, our weekly planning meeting today, talking about the week ahead and the month ahead and the year ahead. And there's different layers of things. There's definitely some major surprises coming that we've been working on, and I can't wait to share that with you. But that's going to do it for now. That's going to do it for tonight, my friends. Happy record hunting. We will see you next time. Thank you so much for being there.